did you get in here?
The window, obviously. Do you attack everyone who comes in here? Seems like a weird thing to do, but live and let live.
You can't just break into my apartment.
Well, clearly I can. I mean, I just
I'll
did.
call the police.
Hi, Juri. Congratulations on winning the 11 Second Club for the month of March. I really like your animation. Really nice job on that. So my name is Nicole Herr. I am a freelance animation supervisor. And yeah, so really nice job on this. So taking a look together.
How did you get in here?
The window, obviously. Do you attack everyone who comes in here? Seems like a weird thing to do, but live and let live.
You can't just break into my apartment.
Well, clearly I can. I mean, I just
I'll
did.
call the police.
Yeah, I really like that. I like the fact that you are not afraid to really get in there and just have fun with animation. And that's really what we should be trying to do, is get in there and have fun. I love the idea of him coming out from the screen. I think that's cool. I like the deformations that you've got on there. I think you can play with this maybe a little bit more and really stretch him. Now, not 100% sure if you're using how exactly you're getting this, if you're just doing this in Maya, if you're doing rendering it out and taking it into, say, After Effects or something. But one of the things that could be a lot of fun with a moment like this is going in and playing around with some expansion and some lattices. You already are doing probably lattice with what is going on with the screen. So it'd be really fun to see, maybe a little bit more of a deformation happening on him, where you're really getting in and you're really accentuating his stretching to get out of this television screen. So we've got here the screen itself coming out. You can sort of see it's doing it here too, which says to me that you're probably using a lattice. So in that, you're getting a really nice stretch going on across the board here. So what would be really cool would be if we could sort of bring that over into the character and get something that is really having some fun with him. So you're getting, maybe a fun super stretch where you're able to just deform him, get into that super cartoony pull, and then as he explodes out into here, really getting in and saying, okay, I've exploded out of this screen, and maybe even put like a slight color filter on this. And what you can do with that is you could just take a plane, put it all, or duplicate even this screen that you've got, have a slight color to it with a high transparency on it, so that when you're looking at the things that are still inside the screen, you're getting something that has maybe a bluish hue to it, and that'll actually help pop your character out of the screen just a little bit more. But that deformation, where you're really getting in and you're saying, okay, I'm coming from here to here, and maybe even a couple frames back here, where when he explodes, you could maybe have him get just a little bit bigger for just a frame or two, so that you're really getting that sort of whoop, I've exploded and then settled back into my shape, to really accentuate that whole ability of your character to break out of that screen. All right. And then when he drops out of here, you would end up seeing, of course, that screen. He just literally just animate through the plane. So you wouldn't really have to really do much except for changing when he pulls out to get sort of that really fun, stretchy, squash and stretch accentuation as he's pulling out. So he's here. I like that he's looking at the screen. Here at the beginning, I'd change this up just a little bit. He's looking over here. I'd have him look here, maybe down here, and then over here. So what you're doing is you're having him look around the screen. He becomes a little bit more lifelike. So to do that, maybe at the beginning, rotate his head up, allow his eyes, using saccadic eye movements to fill in all of these beautiful gaps around as he's looking. You know, maybe he blinks, he looks down here. So you get that sort of down. And then, of course, you're having him come over to here, looking at this region over here. Now, when you do this, what you want to do is you want to put in an eye blink. It's a subtle thing, but what an eye blink is going to do is I'm looking over here, I clear my eyes, I clear my brain, I blink, I open up my eyes over there. Now, how I like to do eye blinks, everybody does them slightly differently, but how I like to do my eye blinks. My eye blink comes down and then opens up. All right, so my eyes are open, blink. Now, on the blink, and I haven't used this rig, so forgive me if I don't know if it's got lower eyelids, but what I like to do is on the eyes, have a subtle open just before they close down. Now, this is going to be pretty quick. It might happen in like 2-3 frames. They'll close for a frame, but when they close, if the two eyelids, the lower eyelid can come up and the upper one can come down, then my eye blink is a 2-frame thing where I then push down by 1 frame. Here, my upper eyelid's stronger than my lower, so I blink. They both sort of come up, and then I push down, and then I overshoot as my eye opens and then settle into the open. So I generally have an interesting blink, but what you want to do is you want to have that blink happen as your character is getting ready to look over at the other side. He's checking out the room. He's seeing all of this stuff. He's like, up, ceiling, floor, wall. I can do this, I can get out. But you need to throw that blink in to help clear his visual space. All right. And then he comes over here, same thing. We've got that head turn again. You really want the eye blink to happen. On the eye blink also, just so you know, when my eye is blinking, I will also do a very subtle push down of the color on the eye. So as the lid is going down, I do a very subtle feel it, don't see it close down on the eye itself, the eyeball itself. And then when the eye is opening, I actually lead it slightly with what the eye is doing. So it ties it all together to just get a really nice feeling. So you want to throw another eye blink in there. And then here, when he's getting ready to come up, I like this, but both of your hands are starting to feel a little like they're moving together. So this hand maybe, let's change colors. This hand maybe just push it down just one more frame. Help act as an antic. And then what you want to also do is you want to have this hand maybe come up and hit its apex a frame later. Right now, both hands are hitting their apex at the same time. You want to break it up just a little bit. All right. Same note here when the hands grab the screen. It's sort of a 1-2 punch. You want to be like, oh, I can do this, rather than it happening at the exact same time. You break it up just a little bit, and that just makes the animation pop just a little bit more. Right, comes in. I like this. I like that he's sort of tilting his head this way, so it feels almost like he's gonna be pushing from the side of his head, which is really smart. Might push it just a little bit more, but I like that overall feeling. And then he comes in, and he's like, "Whoa! I did it! I escaped my screen," and then down. Love that. You're adding in those motion blurs. And out. Perfect. I like when he comes up and he's sort of dusting himself off. I think that's great. That's so much fun. Like, hey, I'm here.
How did you get in here?
Okay. This guy, I might put like a very subtle, when the one guy just waves at him, just a little subtle like head turn where he's like, wait a minute, where did you come from? Right now he's stiff and he's up and he's, we're looking where we should be looking. We're looking at the little guy waving. But with the guy that's up with the coffee mug, if you have him up and he's just sort of looking ever so slightly, he looks at the guy and he just sort of looks around with his eyes. You can get a lot of story in there with him just being like, okay, I don't see any open doors. I don't see any open windows. We're in a break room. How did you get in here? It'll help add stress to him as he's just like, wait a minute. I can see that the lower lids can come up. So that's cool. I'm assuming both characters can do the same thing. So that eye blink with that merge, don't meet in the middle, always meet low, but the upper eyelid is stronger than the lower eyelid. Check. I guess it's not penetrating. It just sort of looks like it because you're hitting a shelf here on the character's rig.
How did you get in here?
Yeah, I like that.
Window, obviously. The window, obviously.
When you come down onto this hand down here, you're cutting out on the edge of frame. If you straighten this hand just a little bit more and have it go a little further back so that it's obvious that he's pointing at the monitor behind him, instead of having it that one hand fully cut out of frame and then come back in, if you rotate the arm back just a little bit more so it's like, see, it's the window behind me. Do you not see this thing? Instead of having both hands sort of point off to the side, have the one point back, have the other one more pointed to the side. It'll help add depth to your shot, and it'll also help remind the audience, oh, hey, yeah, he climbed through the television screen to get in here.
The window, obviously.
And then that will also help because here, your hand is going to be a little bit further back here. This one, I would drop down a little bit so that you are able to see that you have two different arms. The other thing is doing that will also help break up the fact that these two arms are actually pretty parallel to each other. So you want to break these up so that instead of having the parallel arms, yes, you're using both arms to point, but you can get a more interesting negative space in your shot if you allow the one arm to point back a little bit further.
Hey, you tell everyone who comes in here. It's a weird thing to do, but living that there. She's breaking.
I love his attitude. It's so much fun.
Obviously.
Here, rotate his eyes so he's looking at the screen just a little bit more. He knows where he came from. Okay, so I'd have him like look at the Maya screen instead of just looking straight forward. It sort of gives him dead eyes. So if you rotate his eyes down, subtext, we know where he came from. And then same note here, when he looks back at the guy, throw in the eye blink. I love that, head going side to side. It's so much fun.
Here. Seems like a weird thing to do, but live and let live.
Okay.
No.
Live and let live. Let's see if we can get this arm out just a little bit more in for that silhouette purpose. Just pull it out just a little bit. And maybe even tilt that arm up just a little bit. So you get a little contrapposto going on in him.
She's breaking into my apartment. Yeah, come. I mean, I just tell the police.
Here on this hand, I'd have it come a little bit more through an arc over here, if you can. All right, so it comes through, down into here, leading with that elbow just a little bit more, and then going out so that you're not stacking the upper arm and the lower arm. You're going for a little bit clearer of a silhouette over to the side. And then here, when that hand comes down, allowing it to come down just a little bit further so that then this hand has a clearer silhouette. It's all about making sure that you get those good, strong, clear silhouettes when you're really hoping to get them. All right, so we're here. Getting that nice, clean arc. So it's coming around and then down. So you're getting sort of an S curve on that arc. And then I like that hand coming down this way. All right, now let's look at the other guy. So as I said, here at the beginning, you want to show that he's stressed. So he's got his mug and he's looking around like, okay, it was 2:00 in the morning and nobody else was in the building. I locked up the building and set the alarms. And how did you get in? So you get this stress. Give him a good reason for being super stressed about having this guy, this random guy, show up in his world. I would also put a little tiny bit of a movement on that hand where maybe he's just gripping just ever so slightly. That's going to help really anchor him into the world that he's in, because you have this mug. Use your prop. Absolutely use the prop. So he's there. Allow that hand to sort of grip. Allow it to show his fear that here's this random strange guy, right? So allow it to help show that fear of the character. And then he comes in here. Let's drag this index finger behind just a little bit. And what then you can do is when he gets here and it comes out, you can use this as a moment to flare. So this is going to allow that hand to go somewhere, which is going to make that, how did you get in? It's going to make it more powerful because you're not sticking with a single claw that's moving. You're allowing overlap with the flare at the apex, and that's going to really help accentuate his overall characterization. And then he gets in here, does the wave. I like that drag that you've got. Same sort of thing. He does this, maybe release the fingers just ever so slightly so that you can put in that beautiful drag here. So allowing that hand to have a little bit more of an open feeling. And then he gets here and you can get a stronger, tighter pose. Now, the other thing that you want to do is you need to accentuate the pointing of that hand. Right now, that point is getting lost in the claw of the three fingers. So you want to make sure that that point is not getting lost in there. You want to rotate it slightly, cheat it, so that the audience can read the point. And I would also accentuate the pull on the big finger. Right? It gets there. Here, I'd rotate that hand just ever so slightly. Just make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe also be able to see the thumb ever so slightly curled up. All right, when you cut back to him, you've got a little bit of this really nice pose. If you pull this leg back, then when he leans into this pose, you can get a really strong line of action. So when you're cut away here, shift that leg ever so slightly. Just shift it. It'll help you add to better line of action here when he's in the how did you get in? And then he walks out. I love the walk out. He's just like, gonna leave. All right, now let's look at the dialogue real quick.
How did you get in here? The window. Obviously. You attack everyone who comes in here. Seems like a weird thing to do, but live in that bed. You can just break.
All right, slow this down.
How did you get in here?
Oh.
Here, when you get to here, start getting into a little bit more of that oop shape. Here, you don't want to just hang out on the E. You want to get it into starting to head into the in here.
Here. Don't in here.
The window. Obviously, you attack everyone who comes in here. Seems like a weird thing to do, but live in that. Weird thing to do, but live in that.
The on live, I would get there sooner. Your plosives, you really want to really read. So let live, the V needs to have that jaw come up and get into the F sound of live just a little bit sooner. It's happening just a little bit too late, so it's not fully reading. So I would say bring it forward.
Listen, man.
I think part of that's let is too big. So if you make it a little bit smaller, then you can get into that V sound just a couple frames sooner. It'll make it stronger.
He's breaking my heart, lady. I can't. I mean, I'll tell the police. She's breaking my heart, lady. I can't. I mean, I'll tell the police. Tell the police.
Yeah. Other than that, I think your dialogue's reading really well. Yeah, so overall, it's really, really good animation. The dialogue's working pretty well. The overall animation's working really well. I think I'd push some of your silhouettes just a little bit more and really thinking about the subtext of what each of your characters are thinking. Like, you've broken into his apartment through his television. It's just this sort of weird thing. You want to be able to really accentuate the fact that the guy with the beard is hiding that. The guy with the coffee mug is just like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to call the police. It's just overall a really fun animation. And I love the spin that you have created for this particular dialogue. So really good job. And I just want to say congratulations again on winning the 11 Second Club for the month. So really good job. And yes, I tell my students all the time, keep going. Good job.